changeup. So psychologically, he does get that in hitter's head. 415-808 KNBR. Let's get on the phone lines. Let's go out to Fresno and talk to Rick. Rick, you're on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Lasky. Hope you're well. What's going on, bud?
I am well. First-time caller, Bill. And so you've talked several times in the last few days about scoring runs and pitching. And I heard a short interview by Buster Posey yesterday indicating that, we would like to score 10 runs a game. I think every ball club would. And I know that was a real casual comment. The fact appears, Bill, that the average score of a game is like 5-3 if you look at the entire season. And so my point is our pitching is really doing well, and you know that. The goal should be that the ERA for the pitcher should be about 3 or under. And the goal
well,
for the
I tell
team,
you, your bullpen's at about 2.4 right now. It's the best in Major League Baseball. Nobody's even close. The next is, I think, 2.6, 2.7. Your overall pitching has gotten better. You're about a 3.2, but you're riding the strength of this team on pitching. And I think what Bob Melvin did today, Rick, is he took it like this is a 2-run game. I have to get out of jams. I can't let my reliever go out there to try to get that third out. That's why he used 6 relievers. And at one time, I loved it. I was like, this is excellent. Bring in a guy, get a ground ball, get a grind. I just didn't understand when you had Ryan Walker throw 2 pitches why he didn't go out the next inning. And then you had Tyler Rogers throw 5 pitches and he didn't go out the next inning. But you know what? They had a game plan, and the game plan worked. Spencer Bivens was that guy. I was like, come on, you got to hold the line here. He did, but I think Camilo Duvall put the asterisk on it and moved the game on to get that save. But you're right. The offense has to score more runs. How are they going to do that, Rick? They're trying. Their batting was a lot better today, hit the ball better. Those 3 games in Detroit were tough games.
Well, batting is baseball is a business, Bill. And, if they can't hit like 250, or at least 200, maybe someone needs to be looking for a replacement. Let
me ask you this, Rick. It's not June 1st. Do you think teams are going to say, hey, the Giants are looking for hitters. We're just going to give you a couple hitters and let the Giants play better? There's no team that's going to do that. It has to work on both sides. There might be some conversation about it, but nobody's going to make stupid trades at the end of May going into June. That's when July comes around. You have to give these guys a little time. I know I say it a lot, but you have to. You're in a hole with offense. You got a great pitching staff. The defense is playing well. You had 3 stolen bases today. Giants fans just have to see how this is going to work out. I've said it. Yeah, I'm against the offense. They're not hitting good. Didn't give good approaches on a few games. But you know what? I listened to that Buster Posey interview, and he was very positive. Yeah, he said there was holes in the lineup. He looked at first base. We know what's going on with Lamont Wade Jr. Casey Smith's getting some opportunities. Gerard Encarnacion might be coming up to play first. You gotta use what you have, and I think that's what Buster Posey's saying.
I definitely agree with you, Bill. We got to use what we've got. There's no doubt about that, and we've got some excellent players on that team. My point is that,
what'd you think how he used his bullpen today, Rick? Something a little, what'd you think of it overall?
Well, overall, I thought it was excellent. I thought it was just absolutely stunning what he did. He's a smart man. And I was a little stunned by the fact that that one reliever came in, Bevins, I guess it was, instead of maybe Randy Rodriguez. But overall, the pitching calls were absolutely perfect, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think he used that. He saw that 2-run lead. He saw the 2-run lead, and he said, I have to protect that lead. And he did exactly what he had to do to get out of the innings when they had trouble. And he used, Beck leading off, Walker finished it. Miller starting, Rogers finished it. Bivens started, Duvall finished it. And, of course, Duvall put the lights out in that 9th inning. Very well done. I really tip my hat to how he used that today.
He did. And the reason I think he did that is because he knew that the chances of him getting any more runs were a little short. based on past performance, and the pitching calls were excellent. I'm just saying that there needs to be some goals and some targets, and we need to be looking for. If we've got maybe an excellent, I'm not going to mention any name, but let's just say we've got an excellent defender, and whatever position it is, but he's not hitting, then we need to look for someone who can fill that position that has as good, if not better, defensive skills, but better hitting skills. And I know that's a difficult job.
I think, Rick, also, Rick, when you're saying what you're saying, other teams are trying to do the same thing. That's the other thing. It's not the Giants only. There's 30 teams out there, and where are you going to pack a guy off the field or in their rotation or even in their lineup? Because the Giants are winning. They're 32-25. They're not 22-33 like the Marlins. So you have to give them a little room here. Sure, they had some spells here where the offense didn't work. You looked at it, what I just said, 12 runs in 6 games. It even got worse out of there, 24 runs in 11 games. You could go far back as you want in the month of May, but they're winning. They're 32-25. So you got to look at this 2 games next 2. If they can salvage a sweep here and come with some kind of confidence against the Padres and the Braves, that's going to be a big plus. And you got your big gun tomorrow, Robbie Ray on the hill. So we'll find out if they score more runs, see what they can do. Edward Cabrera throwing for the Marlins tomorrow, 1-1, 4.7 earned run average. So there's another right-hander that possibly they can get hot with. But, Rick, thanks for the call tonight. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And great call for your first one. I appreciate it, and please call in more. All right, let's go to Jack in Oakland. Jack, you're on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Lasky. Giants win today. They shut out the Marlins 2-0. Did you watch the game?
Yes, sir. That bullpen is lights out,
hi,
man.
Jack.
The only thing
How you doing, Jack?
What?
I said,
I'm
how
great.
are you doing? Good.
I'm doing well.
Tell me your
I
thoughts,
think this
Jack.
bullpen is great. This bullpen is great, but I think they should have gone with Randy Rodriguez instead of Spencer Bivens, because Rodriguez, unless he's injured, I don't think he is. He's a great pitcher.
Yeah, Jack, I thought the same thing, and I think what happened is they might have given Randy Rodriguez a day off. They might have wanted to use him in extra innings. I thought the same thing, and the other thing I thought was, why didn't Tyler Rogers go out there? He only threw 5 pitches. But there has to be something we don't know that's in between that clubhouse and pitching staff and J.P. Martinez, how they set this out. And, they used Walker early to get out of that mess that Tristan Beck had 2 runners on. And then Eric Miller had 2 runners on. They used Tyler Rogers to get out of it. So I think it was probably between Bivens and Rodriguez. But you're absolutely right. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, Bo Melp, though, we got to listen to him.
I thought he used the bullpen great,
managers.
didn't you? I mean, you had a 2-run lead, and you salvaged it with the best bullpen in Major League Baseball, a 2.4 earned run average. You got to like that, Jack.
Yeah. Their pitching has been lights out, especially because they haven't been scoring runs. I think it's great that they can step up and
I agree.
just be great.
What about Tyler Fitzgerald? You like Tyler Fitzgerald in that 9th hole?
Oh, I love Fitz. I don't like him in the 9 hole, though, because he's fast. I know it's second leadoff, but I feel like he should be hitting in front of Bailey. Bailey's not.
Yeah, I think
great.
they put him in that 9 hole just for that same reason, Jack. I'm sure you play Little League or maybe a little older in Little League. You probably have coaches that put that fast runner in the last spot, don't they?
Yeah.
And it helped him. I mean, he got a
definitely.
nice base hit in the 9th inning. They didn't do anything with it, but he got an opportunity, stole a base, and I think that's one of the reasons why they keep him in that 9th spot.
Yeah, runners in scoring position this game, although they won, it could still be better, definitely.
Yeah, 2 for 12 is not a good number right there.
Like
and the other thing, too,
2 for
Jack,
12.
what about the strikeouts? 12 strikeouts today. 3 by Yaz, 3 by Ramos, and you're top of the order punching out a little bit too much.
I think it's up to the pitching. They had an early inning lead. I just sustained the lead, but could have had a little more production at the plate.
I agree. Well, you know what? They salvaged a win, get away from that 3-game losing streak. breathe a little bit more and go into tomorrow's game with your best pitcher on the mound, Robbie Ray. But, Jack, thanks for the call tonight. I do have to ask you, Jack, how old are you?
I am 13.
Jack, you know the game real well. I'm very, very much impressed on your questions, and I want you to call in more. I love talking to you.
I will. Have a nice day.
All right, Jack. Have a good night. All right, that's great. I love talking to kids, girls, boys that know the game. Jack made some great points of the game, pitching, and, of course, Tyler Fitzgerald, speed at the bottom of the order. All right, we're going to take a quick break on Sports Phone KNBR, bring up some more. 808 KNBR 415 is the number to call in. Let's talk some more Giants baseball as the Giants end up breaking a 3-game losing streak and winning tonight 2-0. 2 runs, 11 hits for the Giants. No runs, 3 hits, and no errors for the Marlins. Kyle Harrison gets his first win in the 2025 season, and Camilo Duvall gets his 6th save. I'm Bill Lasky. This is KNBR, the sports leader. More coming up next.
1028 KNBR. We're streaming on YouTube all damn day at KNBR 1045.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss. Strike three. 96-mile-an-hour fastball up. And Harrison strikes out Hernandez. Marlins threatened with the 2 walks, but they do not score.
Welcome back to Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night. My name is Bill Lasky, hosting the show tonight. I'll be on Extra Innings tomorrow and Sunday. Couple good interviews. I ended up talking to Rob Nen during the week here, and we really talked about the bullpen and all the positives. And, of course, Rob won the World Series back when the Florida Marlins was there, so we ended up talking a little bit about that. I ended up talking to Tommy Hutton. He does TV, play-by-play as well as color. He's been there over 20 years, and we kind of break down what the Marlins have been doing there and the new manager, as well going back in his career. And he played back in the 60s and 70s with the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Expos, and Blue Jays, so he kind of dove into that. And then on Sunday, I'm going to end up talking to Gary, who's the owner of Birdman Bats. He's a sponsor of the Extra Inning post-game show. We're going to talk about how bats are made and the torpedo bat and all the different things that he brings to that company. And it's a great, great company out of Redwood City. Birdman Bats. A lot of major league teams use them. And I sat down with Buster Olney, of course, from Baseball Tonight. He's got one of the best podcasts out there. And we kind of dissected the National League, the West, the East, the Central. And some great interviews coming up. Of course, that's on after every game. And tomorrow the first pitch is going to be thrown at 1:10 right here, Robbie Ray against Edward Cabrera. So good shows coming up throughout the weekend, and I'll be hosting all of them. All right, let's get back on the phone lines. Let's go out to Stockton and talk to Dwayne. Dwayne, the Giants win 2-0. They break that 3-game losing streak. Some very good pitching tonight.
Hey, Big Bill, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Dwayne. Good to talk to you. How are you?
Yeah, my man. I'm good. We got to win. Back in the day, Bill, when I was coming up and it was my heyday, and I used to break open the newspaper and get out the sports page, and I saw a 2-0 game, I usually look for a complete game.
Of course.
I thought it could well have been a complete game.
You were thinking 9-inning shutout. That's the first thing you thought.
Yeah, I was for sure. And a lot of times in a 2-0 game, I know I've seen them in my life where both pitchers went all the way.
Mm-hmm.
One just got the short end.
So let me throw you this, Dwayne. Both starters went 5 innings. How about that difference?
It's amazing how many pitching changes I saw tonight, but all I care about is winning, man. And I'll tell you another thing. One thing I had a problem with last year, like everybody with all the moves, was I know Soler didn't pan out, but they traded him at the deadline. And you got to give the guy the second half. Bill, how many times you seen a guy change teams, go to a different ballpark, especially like the Giants ballpark, and have a slow first half and just heat up in the second half?
Dwayne, one thing I do look at, and I look at players per month, how they fit in April, how they hit in May, how they hit in June, how they get hotter as the summer goes. And Dwayne, you played ball. As the summer gets going, when it gets warmer out, the bats seem to get crisper. And that's what I'm looking for when this month's going to go to June. How many of these guys are hitting 200, 210, 215, even Bailey at 185? How are they going to get better? Today, Bailey punched out twice, but he had a nice double and a base hit, making good contact. I look at Matt Chapman, who has to be a leader on the team. Willie Adames has to be a leader on this team. Give them their early months, but they're going to get hot in the middle of the summer. That's how I feel.
Especially Adames. And that's what I meant when I mentioned Soler. I know Adames has had not the best first half, but I learned a lot from him in the second half, man. I'm going to ride 100% with that guy. I think he's going to have a hot second half. It's going to mean a lot to the lineup. We're probably going to have to be buyers at the deadline.
Dwayne, yeah, you're right, Dwayne. And one of the things that Buster Olney and I talked about, and Buster works with Baseball Tonight, as you know, and we talked about some of the players that got big contracts. Juan Soto being one. Says he's getting killed in New York. Of course he is. He made the biggest contract in the game of baseball, and he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything up there. Yeah. And you're looking at there's probably 3 or 4 other players he mentioned.
It happens. It happens. And so for me, I feel great because we did all this with Adames not hitting the way he should. Once again, I think he will in the second half. And then we got nothing from first base. How did we do this without getting anything from first base where usually you got a bopper? So, once again, I'm always going to stay positive when it comes to the Giants, man.
Yep.
Bill, it was great talking to you, man. I'm going to let some other people get in and holler at you, but I'm going to get back with you, man. I like chopping up with you, Bill. Have a good night, brother.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Dwayne. Thanks again for calling in. And he's absolutely right, is how the season transforms. And like I said, I look at players, who's hot, who's not. June last year, couple good months for some of these players. So as the months turn, yeah, it does matter. It does matter when you're playing 162 games. When June 1st comes, you forget about May. You're starting to work in June. And this month of June, they're going to have to play some good baseball here because you got some leading teams in some divisions coming in here, starting off with the Padres for 4 Monday through Thursday. Then the Braves, who have been playing pretty well lately, they come in for 3. Giants travel to Colorado for 3. Then they go play the Dodgers first time this year on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of June. Then they come back for another tough homestand. Cleveland Guardians come in for 3, and the Boston Red Sox come in for 3. Then they have a day off. Marlins come in for 3. This is where the end of this month, if you can get through the first 22 days of June, you got the Marlins for 3 and the White Sox for 3. So this is the type of month you're going to see good baseball coming up and forward, but they got to do some damage here in the last 2 games of Miami. If they can get greedy and take all 3 games and get that on that flight going home to play the Padres, that is a big, big motivation for the San Francisco Giants. All right, let's go to Dino in Pacheco. Dino, you're on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky on a Friday. How are you, my friend?
Bill, my buddy, good talking to you. Good hearing your voice, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll be out all weekend doing the extra inning post-game shows tomorrow and Sunday also.
I got a thing for you, Bill. On the weekends, you call it extra innings, so it's not extra innings right now?
No, this is called Sports Phone KNBR. This is how they do their post-game shows Monday through Friday, and then Saturday is my show that I produce and promote, and it's an independent show, and I've been doing it now for 6 years. So a lot of good turnaround. That's why I do a lot of interviews, things like that.
Right. But I was going to say, Bill, I've always told you that you're nothing but class. Yeah, I've always dug you for years and years and years. What I didn't realize was you're only 1 year older than me. And we're young. We're very young kids.
Hey, watch that, Dino. Watch that age stuff now. Come on.
we're back in the day. We're back in the day, Bill. Where I mean, you got it. But I just wanted to say, like I said, you're all class built, and they should rename the show the Classy Bill Lasky Show. But anyway, what I was going to say,
Dino, what'd you think of the
I
game today, Dino?
again,
Let's talk about the game today. What'd you think of all the moves? What'd you think of the moves that Bob Melvin did with his bullpen? Because it's the best in baseball.
Well, I've been telling you this for the last week or so, a couple of weeks. Because I really haven't watched the Giants a lot, but I mean, I don't have to when you see the scores and things like that. I've been real busy, but what's going on with the offense, man? I mean, this is not sustainable, dude. You know that, Bill, as well as I do. I mean, that's just fantastic pitching, and that's all that is.
And they've run into some situations also, Dino, when they're getting runners on base today. They were 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, so the clutch hit isn't there. They lose 3 tight games in Detroit, 3-1, 3-1, 4-3. They take 2 out of 3 from the Nationals, going into a very good team with the Tigers, and the Tigers really stymieing them. They had some good pitching against them, but I thought they would at least salvage 1. They did not, but today with that day off, I think that really rested a lot of hostility. When you lose 3 straight games, you come into the clubhouse mad as hell, and you're trying to grind a little bit. I thought it was a good day off for them, and it definitely worked in their favor today.
Well, they got a win, but my thing, but like I said, back in the day, Bill, when you played and everybody, I mean, there's no sugarcoating somebody batting 170 something after 60 games.
No, the numbers are there.
My goodness,
no question, the numbers are there, and you just got to look at other facets. Right. Well, you got to look at other facets of the game. Are their defensive good? Is their offense struggling? what can you do? I think right now the open door right now is who's going to play first base. I think they have kind of turned the page a little bit about Lamont Wade Jr. They put Casey Schmidt out there. Encarnacion's possibility. I think they're really diving into somebody take that position over and hit the ball. Today, Casey Schmidt 0 for 4 with a good opportunity against a right-hander. He didn't produce. What are we going to see? Maybe Lamont Wade Jr. back out there tomorrow against a right-hander. But Buster Posey came on with Murph and Marcus, and he really opened up the door in each position and how much faith he had in the position. And I think the number one thing he talked about was Patrick Bailey, hitting under 200. But his defense is probably the best in Major League Baseball. So what do? Do you let him hit 180 and take his defense away and sit him? Yeah, I don't think you're going to do that. Today he had 2 hits. I think we just got to let some of these hitters pan out. And like I said a few minutes ago, the month's going to turn to June. Maybe it changes some attitudes.
He's batting 170, 175, Bill, or whatever it is now. It's right there. I mean, that's
183, 183, Dino. I got it right in front of me.
Okay, you got to have a balance, Bill. I mean,
but we'll find out. You know what? We'll find out. Tyler. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're not going to sit here and sugarcoat numbers. You're absolutely right. When you only score 12 runs in 6 games, that's not positive. That's not a positive point. But you salvaged a win today to break that losing streak. They ended up getting 11 hits, so you got to take each game, and you got to get a positive out of it. And I think that's a positive on the offense. They struggled in Detroit. They played 2 out of 3 wins in Washington. So, Dino, you got to let some of these guys breathe a little bit more. You got to give them a little longer rope, and let's see what they do as the months of June and July come around. But you got to look on the opposite side, and this pitching staff is the best in baseball. The starting pitching is getting better and better, and their relief is the best in Major League Baseball. So you got to weigh both sides, Dino. And right now the Giants did that very well today with Kyle Harrison and 6 relievers to shut out the Marlins.
Hey, I like your interviews, Bill. I like your interviews with Lance Parrish you had the other day. That was a good one.
Oh, good. I'm glad Frank Tanana was another good one. A lot of good people. I mean, I've had a lot of good ones, and coming up tomorrow, I end up talking to Rob Nen about the bullpen and some of the things he did back in the Florida Marlin days. But, Dino, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I hope you have a great rest of the Friday night, and we'll talk soon.
Same to you, Bill.
Let's go up to Portland and talk to Greg. Greg, you're on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. Hope you're doing well up in Portland. What's going on, buddy?
I'm well. Thank you, Bill. I wanted to talk about the rotation, first of all, tonight. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the movement of pitchers and Melvin's, just as a fan of the game, I enjoyed it. Was there a little tension?
Let me ask you something, Greg. Greg, let me just throw something to you. Do you think, knowing that the team isn't scoring a lot of runs, and we talk about it, 12 runs in 6 games, I think what Bob Melvin did is he said, I got the best bullpen in Major League Baseball, and I'm going to use them to get out of jams. I'm going to use them every inning if I have to. And I thought he did that perfectly tonight.
I concur. That's my feeling. They are not hitting, and I am not. If you remember our conversation last week, I told you Detroit would not go well, and they are what they are. I am not confident that they will really get that much better swinging the bat. They will get better, but you can win with the rest of this stuff. Excellent pitching, good starting pitching. Good right now, the best bullpen in the majors, and they're not making mistakes. They're playing better baseball. So that's you
3 stolen bases
talent.
Today. I really liked how they got in the bag and took off 3 of them today.
Yeah, and you use your talent, your strength, and Melvin did that today. I got a little nervous about not putting Rodriguez in, but it turned out.
There had to be a reason for that, and I think everybody.
Well, you've been talking about this all evening, and I agree with you.
Yeah. There was something in between that clubhouse walls that didn't happen. And the first thing I thought when Tyler Rogers didn't come out, I was like, okay, here comes Randy Rodriguez. And when I saw Spencer Bivens come in, I kind of shook my head a little bit. But you know what? He went out there and battled. He got out of it, and Camilo ended up getting the third out. That's what happened with Eric Miller. That's what happened to Tristan Beck. That's what I enjoyed about him when he brought in similar closers to get out of the inning. Ryan Walker gets out of the inning. Tyler Rogers gets out of the inning. Camilo Duvall. Really, there's your three closers down there.
Right. So I got two things to touch upon here. I want to compliment you once again with taking the middle schooler's call, being a retired middle school teacher.
I love doing that.
Good for you. You know, I taught that age group. I'm a baseball fan and all that. He was very well spoken. The kid knew it. You know, he knew as much as
13 years old
or more than a lot of the callers. And kudos. And I've told you this before over the years, because these kids have called in to your show repeatedly. They're rare, but there's a couple of them every year, and so I always want to compliment you on that.
Greg, you know what? I opened my ears up and I listened because these kids are learning the game of baseball. You said, like you did, you taught middle school. And I listened to their questions and I listened how they dissect the game. And most of them are playing Little League or Colts or whatever it is. And they understand the game. And for that little kid, I think his name was Chris, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and he's 13.
He even talked about Randy Rodriguez, Randy Rodriguez.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to give props to Bailey. He's continuing to pitch or catch well, and so I say we stick with him no matter what. And then as a fan of the Giants, this, Mr. Conservative, the hair on the back of my neck rose on this road trip. Now they're wearing black tops. Tavern softball look on the road.
With the SF logo. Something different.
Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Home white.
Well, how many different
gray.
Uniforms we're looking at, though. You know how that is, Greg. You don't see the same
I know,
uniforms.
but one of the great things about the Giants is they have traditionally stayed in the group of the traditionalists.
Well, I like the grays. I like the grays with the San Francisco across the chest, or even back in my day, they had the SF in gray uniforms.
Okay, listen, Bill, I'm looking forward to your show this weekend. I want to hear about the bat manufacturing, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, it's great. Birdman Bats. It's great. It's going to be live, and he wants to talk about all the different bats from birch to maple to ash. He's one of my sponsors. I used him in my fantasy camp. My last one I did in January, and all the campers loved him, and he just turned into a real good friend of mine, and it's going to be interesting. And what he talks about the torpedo bat, he's got a lot of companies and a lot of major league teams hitting on him to do their torpedo bat, but he'll talk about it on Sunday. That'll be a fun one.
Okay, well, great show. I'm looking forward to that, and I'll talk to you maybe before the weekend.
Yeah, Greg, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it. And I got to say, I was wrong. It wasn't Chris, it was Jack. So if Jack's still listening, my producer, Kyle, told me I was wrong, so I want to correct myself. But Jack was the 13-year-old young man that called in earlier today, and really good stuff, and I appreciate his time. All right, let's go out to Berkeley and talk to Carlos. Carlos, you're on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Lasky. Giants win 2-0. What's going on, bud?
It was a great win. I got lucky, Bill. First of all, I should say, first time I've gotten a chance to talk to you. I do call now and then, but I admit I get a little scared talking to you only because, I got to watch you play as a kid. So, you're like,
back in Candlestick, right, Carlos? You went to Candlestick Park and watched that.
Oh, my God. You know what? I know it was tough, and I know it was cold at night and everything, but boy, isn't that strange how I still miss it? I really do. We have a beautiful park now, but Candlestick was
gorgeous park
unique.
right now. I would love to have pitched at Oracle Park. That park is so nice. I've been out there so many times on the field and the mound and just the setting of it all, and imagining 40,000 people in the stands. And we had a lot of good fans at Candlestick. There was some 60,000 people when they packed the upper deck. It was some good park. Sometimes they were sold out at that park.
Yeah, well, I remember being there. I really started getting into it when I was in college because I went local. So it was early '80s and such like that. That I remember just starting to go in as a kid, and it was a fun park. And Bill, so you really are like, it's great talking to you because you have that history with the team and such. And I have to say, what you're doing tonight, because I'm a big fan, and we are, as fans, we started to lose it with let's find somebody to blame, with some of our batting averages and such. But we got to stay calm. We got to muscle through it. And I think you were reminding everybody, look, our overall wins losses, we're still in it by a long shot.
We're 7 games. You're 7 games over 500. I mean, if we were 7 games under, or if we were 22-33 like the Marlins, maybe we would want more players to switch. Sure, you want to get better. We know that, Carlos. We know that first base has been a problem. We know Lamont Wade Jr. has been struggling. We know Patrick Bailey's trying to get better. But it's only May, and that's what I'm trying to say. When I look at batting averages and pitching, I look month to month because there's certain months you see a guy just somehow, some way, the weather gets warmer and you start hitting the ball better. Next thing you know, boom, you got 5 hits, 8 hits, 10 hits. And all of a sudden that batting order, but what the biggest thing is you're now going into these batting averages like Patrick Bailey was going in today, 24 for 138. So now the batting averages, you're looking at more apps, more opportunities. Most of them right now, Jung-Hoo Lee's got 214, Ramos has 208, Flores now has over 200. So now you're getting over that 200 mark. Once you start burying yourself over 200 to 250, it's going to be real tough to get that batting average up.
It's tough not to love Bailey because he's an incredible catcher. I mean, I think we don't give him enough credit. Mm-hmm. As a catcher. I mean, and why? Because we're spoiled with Posey. I mean, the reality is he had it going on both sides. But, some of the stuff he was doing today. And I got lucky because I got to listen to both scores. I was in and out of the car driving, and it's like, oh, look, we scored. And then all of a sudden there was that other score. And unfortunately,
the other thing Patrick Bailey does that I don't think a lot of people realize is walking out to the mound and calming the waters with the pitcher. You saw him do that several times. At one time, Tristan Beck was out there. The entire infield was out there talking to him. Then it was Eric Miller, and you saw Patrick Bailey back out there. You saw J.P. Martinez come out after Cal Harrison walked 2 hitters in the 3rd inning. So the communication is just to calm the heartbeat down, to understand the situation and what you can do at that time and how you want to go after this hitter. I just think that's the best thing that catchers can do, even in Little League, high school, college, to have another pitching coach behind home plate because they're actually watching the pitch as it's coming in, the spins, the breaks, everything. That tells you a lot more than a pitching coach in the dugout.
Yeah, well, Posey had it, and if you remember, Benito Santiago had that kind of calming effect on it too. But I really enjoyed watching all those guys play that role. But anyway, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I just wanted the chance to actually say hi to you because, thank you for being such a great Giant, and thank you for the show.
Well, Carlos, thanks for calling in. I appreciate your call, and I'm on weekends all the time. Give me a call there. I'm bopping in a lot of Fridays because we kind of bring in the series for Saturday and Sunday. But it's a pleasure talking to you and meeting you also tonight, Carlos. Thank you.
Yeah, you have too many regulars on.
Let's go to David in San Mateo. David, you're on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday. What's going on?
Hey, Bill, this is Dave Stone from San Mateo. I live across the Broadway street from you. And I know you like everything positive, and I'm cool with that. but it's like when a third of the team is hitting the $150 Ray Euler numbers. When do we have to make a change on the hitting situation? And
well, David, what do you want to change? Let's put it this way. I talk positive. Hold on, David. Just give me a second here. I talk positive. I talk negative. I talk what I see in a game. That's how I analyze games. If you've been listening to me, that's how I analyze games. I don't sugarcoat things. What I'm sugarcoating today was Bob Melvin used his pitching staff to an expert. He worked it for out to out. They only had 2 runs to salvage this game, and he did it. The Giants' hitting has been going south. We know that. 12 runs in 6 games. This team's 7 games over 500. 7. They're not under 500. What am I positive about? Yeah, I'm positive about the best pitching staff in Major League Baseball. No question about it. Can the offense kick in? Yeah, I do. But you can't just dive into numbers of 180, 190. Let's look at what happened today. They got 11 hits today. Can we go tomorrow and get better? Yeah, that's what you had to do in a 162-game schedule. So, David, if you're going to talk negative about this team, let me hear what you're going to say.
Okay, I want to ask a question from a great pitcher. When Gibson, 1.12 ERA, and people are hitting the $130 across the league, are we entering in that period? Because I don't know. Because it's not good for baseball, I don't think.
Well, you're going to have teams go up and down. What do you think the best batting average is as a team? Let me ask you this. What do you think the best batting average as a team is? 250, 240, 260? What do you think it is? As a team.
Yeah.
The highest batting average in Major League Baseball.
279.
No chance. You're not even close. Not even close. And this is what you got to look at. You got to look at what the Giants' numbers are. Yeah, they're in the 20 range, probably 24th, but they're winning. And this is what you got to look at. You can't just sit here and just go negative on offense, negative on base running, negative on defense, because that's not them. You got to look at what they just went through, a 3-game losing streak, and to come back today and play the way they did to break that losing streak. Who cares who they played? They won the game. Now you got Robbie Ray, your best pitcher throwing tomorrow. Let's get greedy. Let's win 3 games. Because the month of June, David, you can call me in the month of June. Because the month of June is going to show you, me, as well as the Giants fans, if they're contenders or not. Because they're playing all top-rated teams. And this is where you're going to find out if the offense can turn it around.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
When Bob Gibson went 1.12 and no one hit anything in Ray Euler numbers on everybody, are we in that era now or not?
The era when Bob Gibson was pitching or the era when Ray Euler was playing? Because Ray Euler played in the 60s, Bob Gibson was in the 60s and 70s. That era of baseball is flushed because you don't have pitchers going 9 innings. The game has changed. I just think the offensive numbers from the last 6 years when Farhan Zaidi was here are going to be different now. And you just have to adjust on what these guys are going to do. Yes, I am 100% agreeing to you. The batting averages are down. They're slumping. They're not scoring runs. Can they get better? Yes. And you got to take it day to day, game to game. That's the best analogy I can give you. But thanks, David, for your call. All right, coming up next, I'm going to sit down and talk to my buddy Steve Croner. We're going to talk about this game and more about the NL West because there's going to be a lot of dog fighting going on in the month of June. I'm Bill Lasky. This is Sports Phone KNBR. More coming up right here on the Sports Leader. hitting. We threw those numbers out there this whole show, 12 runs in 6 games on this road trip. But I thought Bob Melvin salvaged this game by using the best bullpen in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and guys kind of in some different roles, too. Ryan Walker coming in the 6th inning. Spencer Bivens starting the 8th. There were some odd or at least unexpected, I'd say, appearances by guys out of the bullpen, but Bob Melvin had the right things going because he got a 3-hitter out of 7 pitchers.
What'd you think of Kyle Harrison today? I thought he was very much relaxed. I thought he was composed today. He had a couple walks in that 3rd inning, but he got out of it. I thought his fastball was nicely 96, 97 pretty much the whole time out there. Kruko and Kipe always talk about the elevated fastball, which he got 3 out of 5 strikeouts. But I thought he was good. The both starts of one in Washington and here were his first 2 starts of the year. I thought his composure, like I said, was a lot better this time.
Yeah, I mean, when he's got that fastball up in the mid to high 90s, I mean, I know he's not going to be a guy who's going to get to 100, but as Bill, you know better than anybody, a fastball that's 95, 96 is so much better than a fastball that's 91, 92. And he seems to have bumped up that fastball velocity this season. And, you know, he threw only 80 pitches. And as Mike mentioned on the telecast, too, he throws so many fastballs. And fastballs are really the easiest pitch to throw as a pitcher that takes the least out of your arm if you throw it correctly. I almost thought Kyle might get one more inning. But I'm guessing Bob, had a rested bullpen and wanted Kyle to go out feeling really good about himself, which you ought to when you throw 5 shutout innings and give up only 1 hit.
Well, Steve, last outing he threw 57 pitches, 43 for strikes, and the first inning he really made a couple of mistakes on a couple change-ups and then a home run ball by Wood, who hit a slider today. I thought he came out throwing the ball very well. Ends up walking Hernandez, and they pick him off. A very quick throw, and it was really done very well. And he, right through then, the next inning, ground ball back to him, a punch out on a fastball up, ground ball to first base, a nice 1-2-3 inning in the second inning with only 10 pitches. Right then and there, that seemed like he just took a deep breath and said, okay, I'm fine today, got a good line on my target, throwing a good 12 first pitch strikes out of 18. At that then, I just felt that was something that he had to overcome. And always those first couple innings for a young pitcher.
Yeah, and he did. He didn't start the third very well after those first 2 good innings. With the 2 walks after a strikeout of Sowers, I should say. But he got through that. That was really the last time the Marlins had a significant threat against him. He had a pretty easy.
Well, on the offensive side, Steve, on the offensive side, it really got going after Ramos hits that triple, and it was a bang play at third base. I think if he would have caught that ball, he might have been out at third. And then Jung-Hoo Lee strikes out on a sinker away. But there you go, Wilmer Flores, 46th RBI, 11 pitch at bat, and he was falling off a lot of balls inside as Quantrill just kept throwing that sinker in, a crossing fastball in, threw a couple breaking balls away, and there he was, Wilmer Flores, consistent Wilmer, getting that RBI base hit.
Yeah, excuse me, I hate the phrase, where would a team be without so-and-so, because there's a reason guys are on the team. But I don't think anybody at the start of the season would have predicted that Wilmer Flores would be this productive. I mean, there was a lot of thought in the offseason that he might not even come back, much less be a guy who has got 46 RBIs less than halfway through the season. If you're picking an MVP for the Giants through the end of May, I don't think there's any choice but to say Wilmer Flores.
It has to be, especially on the offensive side. He has been Mr. Clutch. Steve Croner joined me on Sports Phone KNBR. You can follow him on X at Steve Croner SF. But, Steve, you look at what, mostly all the writers, all the analysts talking about how bad the offense has been. And we know that. Giants fans know that. We watch the games. It's been a struggle. And I just think today, Matt Chapman, with that day off, I think he just rejuvenated himself. He got hit in the first inning. Hit that slider 420 feet, worked a nice walk in the 5th inning, got a nice base hit in the 8th. This is the guy that we're looking for to kind of change this offense.
Yeah, and they're going to need a little more help than just Matt Chapman, but obviously to get him going is a big deal. Mike Yastrzemski is not telling any tales out of school. He has really tailed off in the last couple of weeks. Jung-Hoo Lee has tailed off in the last couple of weeks. Patrick Bailey maybe tonight gets him going a little bit, but obviously he has not done a whole lot offensively. And Willie Adames obviously hasn't done much either. I keep saying this. It's really amazing, fortunate, whatever adjective you want to use, that the Giants are 7 games over 500 with so many guys struggling offensively. It shows you.
Yeah, a couple callers brought that up, Steve. A couple callers brought it up, and I you have to look at it. The numbers are there. We're not hiding the numbers. We're not hiding that the Giants are in the last third of the league in hitting, but there has to be some kind of dot at the end where we can stop it and start building. They're going to have to do this the next couple of days against the Marlins. They have to win this series, get greedy to win 3. It's going to get a real tough month of June coming back to Oracle.
Yeah, and, I'm usually one, you see you've watched baseball a long time, you can be circumspect. You don't want to make rash decisions. You don't want to make a decision, obviously, in the middle of April if the team's lost a few games. But you've been through 2 months, and now I think you are what you are. And I do think Buster Posey in the front office, they have to be looking to add a bat somewhere because as good as the pitching staff has been, and I don't think you could ask for the pitching staff to be much better than it's been. Certainly you can't ask the bullpen to be any better than it's been. There comes a time when it needs somebody to carry it. I mean, the bullpen can't – you're not going to have 4 guys with ERAs under 2. That's just astounding. And I don't think that can be maintained through 6 months. I'm sure the Giants bullpen would try to prove me wrong, but they're going to have to get some more offense in the next few months if they really want to stay in contention. But again, I think the flip side, the positive side of this is if you said at the beginning of the season that if you saw most of these offensive numbers, you wouldn't think the Giants would be thinking, hey, if we get one more bat, we can really be contenders. Because if you saw the offensive production just in and of itself over 2 months, you would think if the Giants are 32-25 right now, that the best they could be would be 25-32. So all things considered, you take this 2 months and you try to build on it.
Steve, I think we're going to see Encarnacion here when they get off the road trip. I think he's going to be a part of this against the Padres and the Braves in the next homestand. He hit a home run, I think it was tonight or yesterday, deep right center field, hitting the ball better. The hand has definitely gotten better. He had some stiffness, went down to Arizona for some rehab. Now he's back with AAA, playing in some games with them. I think we might see him in, and he's playing some first base. I think that's one thing they're going to look at to see if they can look within before they start looking outward. And I've heard all these analysts and reporters saying, hey, make a trade. You got to have 2 teams to make a trade. You can't just go in and say, I want this guy and I'll give you what you want. Nobody's going to help the Giants out because their offense is hurting.
Right. Again, just playing GM from afar. There's no inside info, and who knows what's going on other than Buster Posey and the people who need to know. But from the outside looking in, to me it seems, are the Giants willing to give up? They've got some really good young starting pitching. Are they willing to give up some of that really good starting pitching to get another bat? It's not going to happen tomorrow. But over the next 2 months before the trade deadline, depending on how the offense goes over those next 2 months, I think it's going to come down to that. How willing are they to give up a Carson Whisenhunt? I know you don't want to do it, or a Birdsong, or Kyle Harrison. That's the capital the Giants do have to get another bat. But you'd hate to give up, dare I say, a Zach Wheeler for Carlos Beltran trade, where Zach Wheeler comes back and is one of the best pitchers in the National League for a decade, and Carlos Beltran is a rental. I don't think they're looking to make that kind of move, but that's the back of the mind saying, hey, maybe we don't make this move. But I do think it's going to come down to that in the next 6 to 8 weeks, is there a starting pitcher whom the Giants really like, but they say, you know what, this guy, we have to get more offense, and if we have to lose this guy, we're going to grit our teeth and do it. I really do think it very well might come down to that.
Well, Steve, I talked to Buster Olney yesterday, and we talked a lot about what the Giants have and what they can dangle in front of teams, because he was talking the same thing about the offense and how baseball cards, you read the cards, that's kind of how they play out eventually, and you start looking at all the different stats. And he felt that the Major League Baseball teams are short in the bullpen. He said, if you start looking around all the top teams, they're short 1, maybe even 2 bullpen arms. The Arizona Diamondbacks are just brutal in their bullpen. You start looking other places. San Diego Padres had a real strong one. They're starting to let up a little bit. And I think that's what he and I kind of talked about. It's not really the starting pitching. I think eyes are going to go into this bullpen to see if they could pick up a Randy Rodriguez. I don't know if Tyler Rogers would be somebody you'd trade for. But I think that's the kind of move that you might be able to get a good hitter in when you're looking at all these numbers out of the bullpen. I think that's where teams are more looking to trade with the Giants, if that's going to come down to it.
Well, I think the Giants, again, this is all just talk between us, and there's nothing inside info on this. But I think if you're looking from the team's perspective, as great as Tyler Rogers has been, not only this season, I mean, he's been really good for 6 years. I don't think people realize how good Tyler Rogers has been. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're giving up a relief pitcher instead of one of the young starting pitchers, I think the Giants, it's easier to swallow that, I think, particularly because they're, they have a lot of depth in the bullpen right now. It's not as if it's just one guy or two guys who are succeeding. Right. They've got multiple guys who have been really, really, really good. Again, that's why they're 32-25.
And you also have Sean Jelly, who's in AAA. You also have a couple other arms down in AAA that you could possibly throw in as an extra. But I think that's the move. When Buster Olney and I were talking, he goes, Bill, that's probably what he thinks that most analysts would say. If you're going to get something out of the Giants, it's going to come out of the bullpen. I don't think Buster is going to give up a Carson Whisenhunt or a Harrison or a Birdsong. I don't think that's even on the table. But I think what you can throw, like you said, put that little carrot out there on some of the relievers, and we'll find out where it goes. But I don't think anything is going to happen. You got to get through the month of June. Fans want to trade. Fans want to get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy. It's not that easy, first of all. And there's 29 other teams that are trying to get strong, too. Steve Croner joining me for a few more minutes on Sports Phone KNBR. Let's dive into that starting pitcher tomorrow, Robbie Ray. What has he done wrong anytime this year? Because I haven't seen one bad start out of him. And, boy, when you start looking at his last 4 starts, Washington, 6 innings, 3 hits. Kansas City, 7 innings, no earned runs. Arizona, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Cubs, 6 innings, 1 earned run. He's dialed in right now, Steve. 7-0, 2.5 earned run average, 63 in the third innings, 69 punch-outs. What do you think of Robbie Ray this year?
I think he's been terrible, Bill. After you told me all those numbers, I think he's been lousy.
Give you a layup, right? I give you a layup on that one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other part of this, he's had 11 starts, and the Giants have won 10 of them. I don't think that's a coincidence. Obviously, like Justin Verlander has pitched in some tough luck in terms of him getting an individual win, but Robbie Ray, outside of he had an ineffective start in Philadelphia, and the Giants still won 11-4 back in the middle of April. But other than that, he really hasn't had what you'd call a bad start. And even that, he did have 5 walks that day and 8 strikeouts. It took him a lot of effort to get through 4 innings. But other than that, not only have the Giants won in his starts, he deserved to win those outings. Even that outing against Arizona, when I think he gave up 3 runs in the first inning, but he got through 6. Giants come back and win. I don't know if he's quite to the Robbie Ray who won the 2021 Cy Young Award in the American League, but he's got to be pretty close.
Here's a stat for you, Steve. The last Giant pitcher to win and go 8-0, 8-0, which he could be tomorrow, was Tim Lincecum in 2010. And we know how that ended with a World Series title.
Yeah, and that guy was pretty good, wasn't he?
Yeah. The little guy was pretty damn good, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got for me? What do you think? They'll sweep the Marlins? You think that's a good opportunity if they get a couple good pitched outings here by, you got Robbie Ray and Birdsong on Sunday. I think there's a good advantage if they can get some timely hitting. They had a lot of people on base today, 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Let's see what they do tomorrow against Edward Cabrera.
Yeah, you'd like to think this is a weekend where the Giants' bats can get going. And at least, they did have a few hits today, which they didn't do much of that at all in Detroit. But, again, their offense has to start getting better. And maybe the Robbie Ray being on the mound will accentuate that somehow, that they know it's Robbie Ray's pitching, so it's win day, so to speak, right?
I like that. Steve, thanks for your call. Thanks for jumping in with me on a Friday night. It's not as late as we usually do it, but it was a good speech with you because we won today. The Giants win today 2-0, and Steve Croner pulls it out.
Bill, one quick shout-out, if I might, to the St. Mary's Gales. Gales win an NCAA postseason game for the first time in school history. They won up at the 8th seed at Oregon State, 6-4 for Eric Valenzuela's team. So a shout out to the St. Mary's Gales tonight.
Good call right there. They did play well in that tournament too. All right, Steve. Thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
Bill, my pleasure.
All right, coming up more. We'll finish up the show and talk a little bit more Giants baseball as we finish up a Friday Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. More coming up right here on the Sports Leader.
drive up the middle, base hit center field. Wow. Wilmer Flores, what an at-bat that was, which we could have said so many different times this year. And Ramos comes in to score the first run of the game. 1-0 Giants. And he got a tough pitch. He went down and kind of dug out a low slider that might have been below the knees.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Leslie as we close out the show. Giants win today 2-0. They shut out the Miami Marlins, their fourth shutout on the year. They're 32-25. The Marlins are now 22-33. The highlight right there in the first inning was Wilmer Flores getting his 46th RBI to give the Giants a 1-0 lead. And in the fourth inning, Matt Chapman hit his 10th home run to left center field, and it amped up the Giants 2 runs. That was enough for the pitching staff as Kyle Harrison went 5 innings, only giving up 1 hit. 6 relievers followed him after: Tristan Beck, Ryan Walker, Eric Miller, Tyler Rogers, Spencer Bivens, and Camilo Duvall picking up his 6th save, where he went an inning and a third, walking 1 and punching out 2. I want to thank my guest, Steve Croner. You can hear him on all KNBR podcasts if you missed that interview. Tomorrow, 1:10, Robbie Ray takes the hill. He's 7-0 with a 2.5 earned run average, going 63 1/3 innings, 46 hits, 69 strikeouts. Going against a hard thrower, Edward Cabrera. He's 1-1 with a 4.7 earned run average, 40 innings he's pitched, 43 strikeouts in his last game against the Angels. He went 5 2/3, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. So the Giants are going to have to get a little bit better on making contact tomorrow. I'll be hosting the Extra Inning postgame show Saturday and Sunday right after these next 2 games against the Marlins. Rob Nen joins me tomorrow. We talk about the bullpen when he won the World Series with the Florida Marlins, as well as all his things and thoughts on what this bullpen's doing for the San Francisco Giants. The other guest was Tommy Hutton. Tommy Hutton is the color analyst on all TV games for the Miami Marlins. We break down the Marlins a little bit more and his fabulous 12-year career going back to the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, and the Expos. That's all coming up tomorrow after the game. I want to thank my producer, Kyle Hard, did a great job picking up phone calls, and I want to thank Giants fans for supporting the calls and calling in today. I'm Bill Lasky. Be safe, be well. We'll be doing it all right here tomorrow. Giants play that first game, first pitch, 1:10 right here on KNBR. Have a great rest of the night. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.